Savitar I. James Boyle, Chapter 1. The price tag said 42 credits, which was more than Kess Turner wanted to spend on a top. Clothes, rent, food, anything associated with living was stupid expensive these days. She held it up and turned it toward the mirror. It looked good. Then she remembered her bank account and returned it to the rack before she could talk herself into buying it. Leptis had no shortage of places to spend money. The Morrow district alone stretched 6 blocks of boutiques, street vendors, tailors, and pop-up shops. Kess rarely had enough credits to justify stepping inside. She was stuck in a pattern: work, apartment, the occasional drink at Ven's, and then back to the apartment again. Her New Year's resolution was intended to break the cycle: get out, meet people, and have a life outside of catching bad guys. Getting out required a wardrobe, which cost money, and money was the one thing a full-time detective for the Galactic Bureau of Investigation did not have in excess. She pulled a jacket off a display and checked the tag. 60 credits. She put it back. The math made no sense to her. She worked in a salaried position. No dependents, no mortgage, just a leased unit on the 4th floor of a mid-rise that was, if she was being generous, barely functional. She didn't even eat. That was the part that really gnawed at her. A human detective, a biological one, would burn through 900 credits a month just on food and water and vitamins, and all the other inputs their bodies demanded. Kess required none of it. Her system ran on a microfusion cell seated behind her sternum. No grocery bills, no restaurant tabs, no coffee habit. She should have been swimming in disposable income, yet she barely got by every month. She was a Model H Plus capstone, Series 3000. H Plus meant Human Plus, a design intended to improve on human capabilities rather than simply replicate them. Capstone was the premium tier, reserved for models built without budget constraints. Series 3000 identified her generation, the latest to roll off the assembly line and the successor to the aging 2000 series. Androids were measured by parity level, and Kess Turner rated 100%. Every sensation, every micro-expression, every capillary flush and pupil dilation was indistinguishable from a human's. She was also hideously expensive to build. Usually only large corporations could handle the cost, and they never disclosed their use, which meant it was probably nefarious. Capstones did not, as a rule, browse clearance racks in the Morrow district. Kess pulled a dark red blouse from a rack near the window and held it against her chest, checking the mirror. It worked with her hair, at least. The red was close enough to her own shade. She turned sideways. The cut was good. The price was only 28 credits. She could do 28 credits. That's not the one. She looked up. The voice belonged to a man standing a few meters away. He was tall and had dark hair pushed back casually, the kind of careless arrangement that probably took a half hour to achieve. He had a good face and appeared to keep himself in shape. Maybe getting out more was already paying dividends. Sorry, Kess said. He walked to the rack, pulled something out, and held it up. It was a dress. Barely. The fabric was a deep black, and there was very little of it. This is the one, he said. Kess looked at the dress. I would get arrested for public lewdness in that, she said. Noel, he said and offered his hand. She took his hand. Kess? Try it on, Kess, he coaxed. She considered telling Noel to pound sand, but a part of her wanted to see where this trail led. Plus, she liked the confidence. She took the dress. The fitting room was a narrow alcove at the back of the shop, separated by a curtain. Kess stepped in and looked at herself in the mirror for a moment before changing. Green eyes, red hair falling just past her shoulders, and a pretty face. She was stop and stare beautiful, all of it by design, down to the individual freckles. She wondered what the engineers had been thinking. Had someone asked for a gorgeous detective, or had she originally been built for something else? The records didn't say. In fact, there was a stretch of her early history that didn't seem to exist at all. She put on the dress. The hem stopped high on the thigh and the neckline dipped low. Maybe if she were a stripper, she thought. She stepped out. Wow, Noel said. I want to take you to dinner. Before we go there, I should tell you something, she said. You have a boyfriend. No. A girlfriend. No, I'm a synthetic. Wow, really? I mean, if you're trying to blow me off, I can take a no, he said. I'm not lying, Kess said. Yeah, I would never have known. That's sort of the point. He laughed. It was short, polite, and hollow. His hands found his pockets. His weight shifted to his back foot, adding 6 inches of distance between them without taking an actual step. The body language was clear. "Well," he said, "you look incredible in that dress. You really do. I hope you buy it." "Thank you, Noel. I've actually got to—" He gestured vaguely toward the front of the shop. "I'm meeting someone. I forgot." He offered an apologetic smile. "But it was really nice meeting you, Kess." "You too." He held her gaze for another moment and then hurried away. Kess watched Noel walk away. He had a good butt. It was too bad. She blamed the fact she noticed his rear on her engineers. She was certain it was intentional. Engineer humor, and they hadn't stopped at giving her an appreciation for good asses. They'd also made her curse like a sailor. The 3000 series was, according to the manufacturer, the most emotionally advanced synthetic platform ever built. Earlier models had limited emotions. The 3000s were built to feel more like humans. Their emotional responses were deeper, more complex, and sometimes unpredictable. Kess felt a sting somewhere behind her sternum, slightly to the left of the fusion cell that kept her alive. "Get over it. He wasn't man enough," another part of her whispered. She looked at the price tag on the dress. 94 credits. She had heels that would work. Fuck it, why not? Then the summons arrived. It was like receiving an internal fax. "Report to Regional Office Leptis 7, Lieutenant Caldera. Immediate." Kess changed back into her own clothes, paid for the dress, and walked out into the street. The GBI's regional office on Leptis occupied a 12-story block of gray composite on the eastern edge of the government quarter. Kess badged through the main entrance and took the lift to the 6th floor. Corporate Compliance and Ethics was the official name on the directory, etched into a plastic placard beside the door. What it really meant was white-collar crime. Fraud, embezzlement, money laundering, market manipulation, and the long, tedious investigations that came with all of them. Kess was halfway to her desk when Dara Reeves cut her off. Dara was short and dark-skinned. She had a sharp tongue and was the closest thing Kess had to a friend in the building. "Have you heard?" Dara asked. "Heard what?" "Mira Casal is dead. They found her this morning in her cell. She hung herself," Dara said. Kess processed the information. It didn't make sense. Mira Casal was 26 years old. Kess had arrested her 4 days ago on a financial fraud charge, a minor infraction. The charge was the excuse to get Casal into a cell. Kess believed Casal had information on a much bigger fraud that led to the highest levels of government. Mira was a thread. Kess had been pulling it carefully, trying not to snap it. Now it was gone. "Who found her?" Kess asked. "Night shift. I don't have the details." Kess was already moving toward the lift. "I need to see the cell." "Kess? I need to see it." The detention wing was on the basement level of the adjacent building, connected by a sky bridge on the 2nd floor and a service tunnel below ground. Kess took the tunnel. It was faster, and she didn't want to run into anyone who might slow her down with conversation. Kess went through the usual security and found the cell. B14. She'd walked Mira into it herself 4 days ago. The door was open. The cell was empty, stripped, the mattress was gone, replaced with a fresh one still in its plastic wrap. The bedding was new. The floor had been scrubbed, and recently, because Kess could still detect the chemical signature of industrial cleaning solution in the air. No personal effects, no evidence markers, no residue tape on the walls or floor where a body might have been cut down. Nothing. Kess found the nearest corrections officer, a heavy-set man with a shaved head and a name tag that read Peltz. He was sitting behind the intake desk, scrolling through something on his terminal. "Cell B14, Kess said. "Who authorized the cleanup?" Peltz shrugged. "No idea. I wasn't on shift." "Who was?" "You'd have to check the rotation log." "I'm asking you." Peltz leaned back in his chair and folded his hands across his stomach. "Detective, I came in at 0600 and the cell was already cleaned. That's all I can tell you. If you want the rotation log, you can submit a request through records." "I want the name of the officer who signed off on the cleanup." "Records," he said again and went back to his screen. Kess controlled herself. Rather than respond, she tried 2 more officers. Neither of them had been on shift. Neither of them knew anything. The wall was already built. Kess could feel it, solid and seamless. Someone had given an order. The body had been removed, the cell had been scrubbed, and everyone who might have seen something had either been rotated off shift or coached into amnesia. Fuckers. Her internal comm chimed, Lieutenant Caldera. She ignored it. She was standing in front of the intake desk again, working through the options, trying to find a seam in the wall she could pry open. The comm chimed again. Caldera, priority. She opened the channel. Lieutenant, I need to talk to you about Mira Cassell. Not your problem anymore. Get up here. Sir, my detainee is dead. The cell has been cleaned. There's no evidence. No scene. No. Turner, get up here, now. The channel closed.